Well, if you follow the ratings for all the various wrestling shows like I do, then you know that the ratings for Raw this past Monday rebounded after going down the week before. Vince McMahon continued on with his $1 Million Mania giveaway, and it was just as painful to watch the second time, but inexplicably the ratings did actually go up for this show, from a 3.0 last week to a 3.3. So, congratulations Vince McMahon. You successfully bought yourself slightly less than a third of a ratings point for one show. And all it cost you was $1 million. Okay, before I get into the review this week, there's something that I want to examine for a minute here. Over the last few months, I've started to notice kind of a peculiar trend in TNA as far as how they build toward their pay-per-views. For example, the shows leading up to Destination X had a lot of questionable stuff in them, a lot of weird comedy segments, 3D's efforts to make weight, Fish Market Street Fight, etc. By comparison, the shows leading up to Lockdown were much more serious, much more focused. The build-up to Slammiversary, as I'm sure you all remember, consisted of a lot of video packages, a lot of backstage stuff, a lot of meaningless filler material like Eric Young and his search for Elvis, and very little actual wrestling. So it seems like every month there's a pretty, I don't want to say a jarring change because that's not the right word, but a pretty radical difference in how the Impact shows are structured and formatted, and just a huge change in the philosophy of how the shows are booked. And I'm not really sure why this is. I mean, I've heard one rumor that the higher-ups want to keep changing things around so as to constantly keep people guessing about what TNA is going to do next. There's also another theory that they've been trying out all these different formats until they find the one that really works best for the 2-hour show. Well, if anyone at TNA happens to see this video, doubtful, but if any of them see this video, I have a message for you guys. You can stop changing formats now. Okay? I don't know what amalgamation of ideas in the writer's room gave birth to this current format that they've been using since Slammiversary, but it's a keeper. The last 2 weeks of Impact have been awesome. The matches are longer, the segments are better, the pacing is faster, the commercial breaks don't come at completely asinine times, and the pay-per-view build-up is great. Now let's talk about this Impact. Okay, an Impact that totally blew away Raw, might I add. There was so much good stuff on this show. The World X Cup is bringing an increased focus on the X Division finally, and it's yielding some great matches. The Motor City Machine Guns are winning again, finally. Their match with Team International wasn't quite as good as the one they had with the Dragon Gate guys, Yoshino and Doi from last week, but that would have been almost impossible, because that match was amazing. This match wasn't quite as fast-paced, but it was a lot longer, and so that was great. Kaz and Alex Kozlov, they put on a great show. I think this whole tournament is going to be amazing, quite frankly. And to top it off, they announced that the final match of the World X Cup at Victory Road is going to be a 4 corners match with one guy from each team and the return of the Ultimate X. Oh my God. Can you even imagine how insane that's going to be? Cannot wait. In addition to the World X Cup stuff, we also saw some good progression of the Sanjay Dutt Jay Lethal feud. Much like RVD Tito for Life said recently, I did not care for the club name, Pink Taco. I don't know where they got Pink Taco from, but could have lived without that. But the brawl itself was good between those two guys. I think they've managed to nicely salvage this storyline after the wedding angle at the pay-per-view kind of tanked. And a lot of that has to do with Jay Lethal. This is how Jay Lethal should be portrayed. He's not playing around like he did for most of the 3D Johnny Devine feud. And he's not pretending to be the Macho Man either. You know why? Because he's pissed off. He's just a plain, pissed off Jay Lethal, and he wants to kick Sanjay's ass. And it's just a really weird thing, too, but I had no idea Jay Lethal was so good at cutting promos. I mean, I knew he could do an uncanny Randy Savage impression, but I've never heard him... I never heard him cut, a really serious, intense promo as just himself until the last 2 weeks. He's actually a really good talker. And I hope TNA continues to take him in this direction because these last 2 shows have done his character a world of good. Another notable thing on this show, we had Chantel Taylor debut in the Awesome Kong Challenge angle, finally. I've been talking her up for the last couple of videos now. She's wrestled in Canada, she's wrestled in Mexico, she's appeared in Shimmer. She was also in the WWE developmental system for a while. But don't hold that against her, she's actually very good. As this match clearly showed. It was only her first Impact match, and she really got the crowd behind her against Awesome Kong, so, WWE's loss is TNA's gain. Anyway, we also had another great main event to close this show with Kurt Angle attacking AJ Styles after the match. And something that really needs to be mentioned here. This AJ Styles-Kurt Angle feud is handled so much better when Karen Angle is somewhere else. When Karen Angle is not around like she was this week, then AJ and Kurt are focused on each other, on how much they hate each other, on how much they want to kill each other. When Karen is around, like she was last week, they're totally focused on her. Which is why the writers need to keep Karen as far away from the TV show as possible, and why I'm absolutely dreading her return next week. But after these 2 shows, TNA has earned a little goodwill, so I'm going to wait and see how that plays out. I only have a couple minor complaints this week, one being that Petey Williams wasn't on the show. The World X Cup matches and the Lethal Dud Brawl was there, so so the X Division definitely had a presence on the show, which has not been the case for a while. But the X Division can only be so important without the X Division champion. And honestly, Petey Williams was probably getting more TV time before he won that title, and that's not right. Now, my other complaint is about the World X Cup video packages. They're great, don't get me wrong, they're very well made, but what I don't get is why we're only seeing them now. TNA announced on the website that the World X Cup was going to be returning months ago. And we're only seeing promotion for it now that it's actually in progress? Well, hell, TNA, don't promote it ahead of time and build anticipation or anything. And one other thing. It's not really a complaint, but it's kind of a sticking point with me. The announcers said that Kaz was the captain of Team TNA, and that he was taking over the reins from Jerry Lynn. That is not true. That's wrong. He's taking over the reins from Chris Sabin. Sabin was the captain of Team America in the last World X Cup, and Sabin was the one who took over from Jerry Lynn. I don't know why they changed that, but I'm a big Sabin fan, so I just had to point that out and take care of my boy. So overall, another great Impact. That's 2 in a row now. These shows have been a huge improvement over the last couple of months. There's been so much good stuff and very little to criticize, actually. And when I have to reach this far to find stuff to complain about, that's always a great thing. And I tell you to catch the replay if you missed this Impact, but apparently there isn't going to be a replay this week because of the Ultimate Fighter finale. So if you didn't see this this Impact, you're out of luck. You missed a great show. So you know the answer to that, don't you? Watch Impact, 9 p.m. Thursday nights, people. It's can't miss. See you next week, guys. That's all I got.